Gonna get started off with a little vibe. Wait to see everyone that comes in. I just wanted to get the vibe started right. Let's go. Summertime. Down for you. What's up, everybody coming in? Nice summertime vibe.
Baby, when you broke my heart, that I had to call my game. I will show you that I win.
That's my vibe today.
Good.
That is how I'm feeling. Turn that up. What's up, everybody? What's going on? Thank you guys for coming to pursue your passion with your boy, Chris COSeezy Strong. Man, I have a very, very special, beautiful guest over there. Before I introduce her, I wanted to make sure that we continue to say her name and that we get those cops who killed Breonna Taylor arrested, and we demand justice for George Floyd, Elijah McClain, Ahmaud Arbery, and the long list of other Black people who have been wrongfully murdered by the police. And RIP to Vanessa Guillen also. I wanted to thank my sponsor, Yellowbrick, for making this all come together. If you're new here, you might want to check out yellowbrick.co. They have amazing programs that you can offer online in sports, music, sneakers, fashion, beauty. They have it all. There's no better time to learn online than right now. Am I right, Jan?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You do a lot of things online right now. So.
Yeah. My beautiful guest today is one of my favorite people in the whole world. She is a true boss. Don't get it twisted. She's the CEO of her own company, Winston Retail. She's a forward-thinking retail expert with a whole lot of style and grace. Welcome to the show, Jan Croat.
Hello. Nice to see you all or meet you all. I also feel that affection for Chris. He's been a great friend of mine, and I'm so happy to be here today.
Thank you so much, Jan. I'm so happy that you're on. I'm so happy. Love it that you're on because I got so much love for you. You inspire me so much. You have everything that I want in life, from your own company that's bi-coastal to having a great app. And I think that app helps you run your business so smooth in today's digital climate. So, Jan, hello, how are you?
Oh, hello. We got a little, got some music going for me today. Thank you.
I was always going to be right. How you doing, Jan?
I'm good. I mean, getting a little COVID weary like I'm sure everybody is, but I'm doing well.
Yeah, you look well. You look beautiful over there. I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you. Likewise.
Mm-hmm. Y'all see that smile over there?
Pardon?
I'm just asking the chat, like, if they see your beautiful smile, because I speak to you so many times throughout the week, and you just provide me with a great ball of energy every time. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Good, yes. Well, we've got a lot to be happy about lately, I think.
I agree.
There are things out there, bright lights.
Amen. Amen to that. Jen, I always start this thing off right here asking people what their dream was as a kid. So let me ask you. What was your dream? What was your dream as a kid, Jen?
I like to be independent. So I think I always strived to learn in order to kind of take whatever I learned along with me into becoming kind of a really independent person who could make my decisions in the smartest way possible, but also be able to make my own decisions. And that can carry me personally and professionally. And I think For me, I loved retail. I knew I loved retail like the minute I started it when I was 15 and a half years old. And now to have the opportunity to affect retail the way that my company does, and that I get the opportunity to work with amazing people every day, and both inside Winston and our clients. I mean, I think it's somewhat of a dream for me that's come to fruition. So I'm pretty excited about it.
So you truly chase your passion and turn it into a career. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a job, right? I mean, people search for that thing that you've got as a passion that, when you're in a job, you're in a job. You're like, okay, this is something that I'm doing to do something else. And I think, if as long as you just look at everything as a learning opportunity that can get you to the next place, I always call it career architecture for, you know, from when I started out till now. And I would recommend that to everybody because there's something you're going to take from whatever you're doing right now into another place and in your life. And this happened to bring me to where I am today. And what I'm doing now is going to take me where I need to go next. So
Now, there's so many people that we interact with on a daily basis who want exactly that. They have that same dream. So it was really important for me to get you on here to talk to our fashion people. I want to get to Winston, but I think the question right now in the world is, during these times, what's going on in retail?
well, as everybody knows, middle of March, everything pretty much shut down. We really spent, I would say, everybody started looking at, well, how do I move to what is online for my necessities, which became the first, avenue people thought of as their necessities. And then going through the month of May, April and May, I think, people had to look online, and you really saw who the game changers are in that arena, who were prepared and had been innovative in how they interact with their customer through online. And then you saw the ones that needed a little bit more help and were kind of behind the scenes, kind of working extremely fast in order to bring that to another level so that they were capturing as many sales as possible. But in general, there was a big decline. And, what was nice to see is that NPR put out the June numbers last week. And, when you're looking at sales, being up year over year, which is a little bit crazy, if you think about it, but retail sales, were up 1.7% over last year. And in light of that, the categories were surprising to see what was even from May to June, with apparel, accessories, and footwear being the number one category. Obviously electronics was second by, when apparel and accessories were up almost like 104%, and then you had technology being up 34%, and then also the home area being up 32%. That's just over May. That's an indication that people were ready, they wanted to get out, and they wanted to shop. Now, where that takes us, post, the checks coming from the government, that's number one. And number two, also things shutting down again. So, it's kind of a crystal ball. I think every single person, both on the brand side and the retail side, are trying to figure out, well, what is that? How can I predict this? And, people are doing best efforts, but I'm still stymied on how we all are going to predict this in the best way possible. But
Yeah.
be nimble.
Okay. Well, you have your own company to navigate through with this. So I wanted to ask you, can you tell us what Winston Retail is and how did you come up with it?
Well, for anybody who's going through thinking, fashion is my passion, or, you really want to get into retail, once you're in, whether it be, a college that's guided right directly for retail, like a FITM or an FIT, or you're going to a school like the University of Arizona that has a center for retailing, or Syracuse or Penn or UPenn. They all have different programs within these schools that are set up for retail. With that being said, you usually have the design, product design, or you're going into something like a buying line or a merchandise planning line. There's a third avenue to this that a lot of people do not know about, which is, true retail development. What that means is not only the physical way a brand is shown inside their showrooms and trade show booths or pop-up stores themselves, and then also online, kind of are hubbed in this area, because it's really how the brand is kind of coming to life. That's why we have this slogan for Winston Retail. But it's really an area that I don't think a lot of people know about. And inside of that is visual merchandising, because it really affects everything, okay, both in the physical space and in the virtual space for online. And, it's a well thought out way of approaching a brand and telling their story and how they're meant to be shown to a customer. So I fell in love with really being on the road and merchandising brands in my career early. I did start and went through a training program at the time through a retailer and got the basics, I would say, and thought, okay, I didn't want to become a buyer. So I knew I really loved being in the space with people and interacting with the customers to understand what they wanted out of the product, and then how the brands wanted their product shown. So, in doing that, I started investigating what these retail development departments were, and several big brands, the Nikes of the world and Under Armour, they all had in-house teams, like a Ralph Lauren or Tommy Hilfiger. They all have these large teams inside in their companies. So my career path took me in that direction, and I worked in brand from Ralph Lauren, developing the Polo Jeans brand, working at Kenneth Cole and developing all their product categories and bringing that inside of retail when that was a large chain. And then also, lastly, at Levi's on a global store development route. And at that time, I decided I wanted to develop an agency that did what this in-house team does, that supports both not only the brands, but also retailers. So Winston today has three different divisions within it. One is the creative studio. Inside the studio, we design and develop showrooms, stores, pop-up shops, and then we also have windows is another thing that we work on for a lot of different people, where we design it. We have the ability to have project managers that actually, will build and construct the space or manage construction through it. And then we have a team of about 2,300 people across the United States that are representing brands in apparel, accessories, footwear, tech, home, and beauty. So we have the ability as an outsource to support teams, whether they have in-house teams. We do a lot of work with them. So an example would be at Under Armour. We represent Under Armour across the country, wherever they distribute their product. They have obviously their retail stores, and we work in wholesale. So whether that ranges from, a Dick's Sporting Goods to a department store to any kind of retail chain that they have, or specialty stores as well. So, and then, there's within our company, we're working with the sports side, we're working with fashion, we work with accessory people, and then also on the tech side, we work a lot with different, from Samsung, we've done projects with Apple. I mean, there's a lot of other brands in there. I mean, holistically now we're probably over 130 brands that we have the opportunity to work with, and we feel really fortunate. So
I told you guys, Jan is a true boss. You hear all of that?
No, I wouldn't say I'm a true boss. I am the lucky leader of an amazing team of people, because I'm the bus driver, but my little my people coming on the bus are amazing and talented, as being, like, I would say, the orchestrator of this. Everybody's so amazing at what they do. And without that, I've got a great team that's been put together.
That's a good point. As a leader, having great people around you, from what I know about your organization, it's so important, because it helps you focusing on the things that you want to focus on and let everybody else do what they do best. So
that, and also they bring skills to the table that I don't have. You know, I have to bring people in that do what they do really well. Because if everybody was like me, we would not be going anywhere. I mean, I think that I have, you know, the creative side of our business is something that I love and I'm super passionate about. And, you know, trying new things, designing things in a different way, really researching how a customer shops a product and then designing into that, I think is a true gift. And I get very excited about it. I love to give my input, but I'm not the one with the vision on that. So
yeah, okay. Sounds like a true leader right there.
well, you know, and it also takes people that like to, you know, with the people in the field, they have to have a great personality and a great smile. And, you know, Chris, I think you represent that. And I think, you know, you have to be approachable and, you know, listen a lot. And I think people have, it's one of the best things I can say. I mean, our field team, while they have all different types of skill sets and we hire them for the projects, but some of them are ongoing. I've had people working with us for the last, you know, 15 years. And, you know, it's great when I see stretches of people that are working with us for almost, you know, 8 years. 5 to 8 years is usually, you know, the duration. And I love that.
What goes into the planning and execution to being a CEO of a bi-coastal company? I'm sure that takes up so much of your time.
You know, I have to say, because everything's gone very virtual. I mean, Zoom, clearly everybody loved getting on conference calls, but now I've got them on Zoom calls. So I'm like, okay, get your hair ready, let's go. You know, that has really helped, I would say. It does allow freedom. Again, coming back to what I always loved was being able to be anywhere and still be able to work. You know, at Winston, we had started going partial work from home over 2 years ago. So when COVID hit and, you know, many companies were going through the, what do we do if everybody's working from home? We were kind of built that way. So it was like a regular day for us. You know, not seeing people is a whole nother avenue because, you know, it's how do you keep that glue together with everyone? So, you know, we've been getting creative, and honestly, I'm looking forward to going back into the office because I do think FaceTime is super important because it's getting people's personalities. You know, you get to know them more when you're actually with them. But for me, as far as the planning, it's you know, pre-COVID was on a plane every week. You know, I was able to kind of navigate between San Francisco and New York and Arizona a little bit because I come here for family, and I've got a really smart team. I would say that, you know, they manage a lot of levels of decision making for me.
So the key for you to be in Arizona and New York and San Francisco, it's going back to your team again.
It does. Because if I wasn't able to feel the ability to let something go and have them manage it, then I would be, you know, in offices a lot more. And I have the ability, because also the other avenue is our client base. So I like going to our clients, and whether that's in, you know, Baltimore or Milwaukee or Portland, San Francisco, a lot in LA. I like to spend a lot of time with our clients. And you know, it's really important because that's how they build trust. So having them, and plus they're trusting us with their brand and what the brand looks like at retail. So I have to be out there. We have to be able to see what's going on, and it's been important. And I think that's where I love to spend my time, quite frankly.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's nothing like seeing and feeling that energy right in front of you. It says so much.
Exactly.
Now, your business is named after someone special and near and dear to your heart. Who is it, and why did you name it after them?
So I had the idea about the business before I had the name. And my business partner, but at the time he wasn't really my business partner yet, he had challenged me and said, you need to go into 3 companies and sell in the business and then come back and talk to me. And so to find financing, sometimes you do things, right? So I said, okay, great. So a friend of mine was at Michael Kors, and I was waiting, and finally he walked out and he goes, listen, tell me, what's the name of the company? And, you know, my brother-in-law always said to me, you know, if you're going to name something, name it after something you love. And my dog's name was Winston. He just passed during COVID at 18.8 years. He lived a very long life. And so I said, it's Winston. And we went into a meeting, and I was sitting there talking about Winston, and then I left going, I don't even know if I'm going to name the company this. So I came back and we kind of vetted out the name, and here we are today, and it's Winston Retail Solutions. We call it Winston Retail a lot. So I know, but so after, yeah.
But you have a new addition to the family.
I do. If you guys want to see some love.
Let's see.
So now we have Wyatt Winston.
Wyatt.
My new baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's called a teddy bear. He's a new breed, but he needs a haircut. So, but,
a lot of it.
He's been doing great. So he's now going to be traveling with me. I travel a lot. I took Winston pretty much everywhere. People that know me know my dog, and they know that that dog has gone to client meetings. Yeah. He's also not that many, but he has made appearances, and he'd come to the offices with me too.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. He has a lot of mileage, a lot of freaking flyer miles on that dog.
Yeah.
And
I
we'll
love
be
that you named your company after Winston too. That's so cool. Long
live. I love dogs. They've been the best. I mean, you know, good thing to have during these times. Let me tell you.
With some friends.
Yeah.
Jan, how did you break into the retail industry?
You know, like I said, I loved it from day one. And, you know, at my first job, I went in and colorized a swimwear department when it wasn't set up that way overnight, right? And I decided, I'm going to make a color wheel, right? Took a little bit of my own initiative there. And the next day, the management came in and was like, whoa, what just happened? Because I kind of mixed everything up. And so they pulled me in and they were like, what happened here? And I said, well, it really needs to be organized. And I just did it this way. And so they ended up having a sales increase that ended up changing the way they did it in every other department store that they had at the time. So it was Dillard's, which is here in Phoenix. Right. And so they changed it within the entire chain. So I was like, that was amazing that I could do that, right? So who knew? I included myself. So after that, I decided, all right, how was I going to get as much experience as possible? And so I started working in every single department, like including gift wrap. And I just really realized, like, I thought this would be the best career path. So went to college for it. Out of college, you know, I really was determined to find that passion. I will tell you, I had 9 jobs out of college. I would go to the job, I would say, okay, is this a fit for me? Am I really getting this? And if I would kind of take everything out of it that I possibly could and realize, okay, I think I need to move on because I'm not a career, this isn't where it ends, right? So, but I do have to say I seized every opportunity to hone my skills to speak to people, or with people, I should say, it's better. And really to kind of identify, try to identify what people are looking for in order to solve that problem for them. And the other thing is that, you know, when you meet somebody that's great in your life and you think I can learn a lot from this person, don't necessarily be afraid to ask that person to be your mentor or to guide you, because I've had the luxury in my life of, you know, serendipitously either meeting people or purposely meeting them that I made happen, that I was able to say, okay, you're amazing, and I need to learn from you. That is a compliment to someone. That is something that I think people they just immediately, you put somebody on like the, offense a lot and make them feel good. And also, it was true. And I ended up having some amazing mentors in my life. They're still in my life. They're CEOs of companies now, and I've been able to learn from them my whole career. One of those people actually then gave me a wonderful opportunity in New York. And so I left LA and went to New York and had a career there for 12 years. And during that time, kind of kept the same momentum going. I really just wanted to learn, and be able to manage, because managing people is, you're never going to be a perfect manager. You're never going to please everyone, but you can definitely get better at it as you have more people and more experiences with it.
Okay. So for you, it was really all about doing all that you can in the field that you plan on pursuing to get experience, and mentorship was huge for you.
Exactly. And I had to take every opportunity as like, okay, what am I going to learn? It could be from, folding 3,000 pairs of Docker pants, okay, to, being able to be in a room with Ralph Lauren as he's choosing, images for an ad campaign, and you were part of the whole development of it. So, that, opportunity, and once you're sitting there and you're like, I'm part of this decision-making process is pretty phenomenal. And now I get the opportunity to influence. So influencing skills become very important as you kind of, learn and grow, and you're getting in that area where you may not have the ultimate decision, but how are you going to influence the people in the room to make the decision that ultimately you would agree with? So, or, is it the right decision? It's kind of learning too when it, you can be influenced yourself.
Yeah, that's a gem right there, man. It looks like Shanette is really enjoying this. Shout out to Shanette over there in the chat. Jan, you're 16 years in, and you've been dealing with about 100 brands, like you said. You have so much experience as a woman in this male-dominated industry. My question to women in your position is always, how do we support women more? So for you, how do we support women more in retail?
So I happily can say that this is one area that I have seen more and more leadership positions being filled with women of all races and all diversity. And obviously it can be more, but it's encouraging to see how many women are truly getting put into positions. I like to think they're pretty creative. They're solution driven. Not that men aren't, but I think they're being heard. And, for me, the business itself lends itself for women to be more in retail a lot than men. So I think you're starting to see that just purely because there's more women in retail in general. And that's across all product categories. I think technology might be one of them that is still kind of, a lot more men than women, but that's my own opinion, no statistics there. But I definitely feel that we've had the opportunity to kind of make a difference. And I love empowering other women. We have a large amount of women on our leadership team at Winston, and I see that, and I love supporting that, and I love mentoring.
Yeah.
With
them. So mentoring and providing more opportunities is how you make sure that you're giving back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, a lot of that starts with recognizing the people that we have at different levels within the organization that I think have amazing potential. And it's not just me, it's other leaders in our company that would say, she has it. She has the ability to do X, Y, and Z, whatever the scenario is. And I think it's important for, I have certain people on my team, male and female, that I'm like, toot your horn. Don't be afraid to toot your horn, because sometimes people are like, well, I want them to recognize this. I don't know. I don't want to have to say that I did that. Sometimes you have to.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta let them know, huh?
Sometimes you gotta let it go. Let them know.
Some of the difficulties of being a female entrepreneur, and how did you overcome them?
You know, honestly, I think part of it was, every business needs to get funded. And if I didn't have the relationships at the time when I needed to look for funding, I think that would have been a hard road for me. I think, in a sense, a harder road. I know, every business, if you have an idea, you're like, what do I do now? Right.
Yeah.
And you have to find those mentors. But I think, somebody knowing how to navigate that whole process, and then understanding most of the people you're pitching to are males.
Mm.
I think that would have been something that would have been a little bit more of a hurdle, but I was able to overcome that based on a relationship that I had built early, mid-career, let's say, who became my business partner.
So along that journey, what would you say sets you apart from the rest of the pack?
Well, Winston's a bit of a unicorn. There are companies that have, they call them third-party merchandising companies, and there's several of them. The first people that ever started with this was the food industry, where they would have people that would go out and represent food brands. And then after I started looking at brands that I was launching in the past, I would say, who does this in apparel, right? So we started this in apparel. There were some people dabbling in it, but it was not, we really kind of were the pioneers, as I would say, getting into this sector of business, because brands always wanted to say, well, I want my Nike person, right? I want my, Hugo Boss person. Well, how do you develop a company that you wouldn't know that person didn't work in that brand, right? That they worked at Winston.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. That was my whole goal. And I'm happy to say I've been in several retailers, and they were calling the Winston person the Nike person, or the Under Armour person, or the North Face person. And I was with them, and I was kind of, I don't want to say giggling, but I was kind of like, oh yeah, I know them. Oh, they're good. Oh, good. Luckily I heard all positive things. But for that avenue, we kind of pioneered getting into this. So also we have this creative and project management piece to the business. So a brand can come to us and say, I have an amazing product. Here's the logo, right? But how do I make this look like a brand? How do I tell my story in a three-dimensional way, or even online on a website that is, visually appealing and visually telling my story? Because anybody can develop a website, right? You just, several templates, but it's like the content of it, the photography of it, the story that you're updating of it. Why is somebody coming back to your website? Is the same thing as if they're coming into a retail space. And also, how many people's website looks like what their retail store looks like? If you look at that, for many brands, they don't tell the same story. And you want them to. And that including is the retailers themselves, right? Does a retail website look that much like what it looks like shopping? So it kind of has to have the same, common thread.
That makes sense. We have a question about mentoring in the chat. They want to know, how do you approach or ask someone to be your mentor that works in the field that you want to break into?
Yep. I think saying to somebody like, you have experience, I really want to learn, and I would love to learn from you. And would you be willing to mentor me and guide me as I'm making decisions in my career? And I think that, it's a compliment. And if the person that you're asking, they may not have, time. They may tell you, I don't have time. I don't have, because they may not. I don't know. And they're probably, but I really think like 8 out of 10 times, you'll probably get the person going, absolutely, I'll help you.
Yeah.
And, I feel fortunate because there's a lot of people in my life that I love to mentor.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a pretty easy thing to do, Simple B. Simple B had another question. They said, does a college degree hold more weight over experience in this field?
Thought about that. You know, I would always say yes, in the simple fact that everything that you're doing in your career will at some point come down to general business skills. And the general business skills that are learned throughout a university or even a community college application, you will take that with you. There are references to there's terminology, there's references, there's, you know, all sorts of things and tools that you will get through a college education that I think do make a difference. Can you go through the process? Yes, but I think it's going to be much harder down the road for you to take some leaps in your career without having the general skills in your toolbox.
Man, that question made me think about a really cool experience that I had. I had the pleasure of going to speak at the University of Arizona's Ideas to Doors conference. Shout out to Jan for making that connection for me. The roles were reversed between us. She was the one asking me the questions.
I know. I'm more nervous now.
Talking to those young, hungry people with that entrepreneurial mindset. Over there in the Terry Lundgren building for retailing, which was so cool. And the Trend Club really stood out to me. The Trend Club, for you guys that want to know, is where people going into business and fashion can learn from leaders in the industry and pursue their goals in the fashion industry. One of those leaders that they get to learn from is someone like Jen. They get to learn and intern with her. So she's super big in that mentorship role. And it made my mind start racing on it, because I would really love to be able to do something similar to that in New York. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the Trend Club is?
So, you know, there's many people that they'll have ideas and they'll want to go into a specific field. The Trend Club itself will look at, people can come with ideas and they'll tell you what they think should be focused on during a semester. And they will pick that trend, they will follow it. So I'm going to make this up, but let's say it's soft lifestyle dressing. They're going to be able to put together they put together a real store that's actually in Tucson. And that could be one of the categories, let's say, that then they have sponsorships through the school, and that they are putting together the buy. They're merchandising the store and placing the buy. They are also merchandising it in store, and they are selling. So they have hours that they're working in the store. They're visually doing the windows. They're visually changing the store, all the way through how the consumer is, handed the package, right, the bag. And then how they follow up with them, both online and in a physical way. So that has really been an amazing incubator for them, where they got, a retailer, landlord in Tucson in order to give the retail space to do it. And it's super inspiring, because I think what the kids come up with every year changes, and they have a lot of support with it. The other aspect of that is, Ideas to Doors is where there's people that come in and speak that have developed a brand or developed, like in your case, a wonderful charitable outlet with Kicking It for a Cause. That, what I love about it is we were able to go to our brands and say, can we have all the shoes from the mannequins? If you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Where do the shoes go? Some of them used to have to put the hole through the bottom. Bad idea for your cause, but they put it through the back. It was like good. So we were able to ship, however many shoes.
That's ladies and gentlemen, that's part of the reason why I love Jan so much. She connected me with one of her companies, the North Face, and just like she said, the mannequins use those shoes. 30 stores across the country.
Yep.
They have these mannequins that wear the sneakers that they were just going to throw away, and I get to use it for my foundation. So having relationships like people like Jan and mentors like Jan can help in so many different ways. And that's an example of it right there.
But, and then through this, we go down and we meet a lot of the students there's conferences and I'm on the board, so I go down for a board meeting, but we've also met some students that I brought as interns, and then now they have taken full-time roles in Winston, in New York. So they moved to New York and have been working in our office, and I love it because I know where they're coming from, and I know, what they've learned through the academia program there, and how we can and kind of bring them into Winston and our processes and how we work. And I love to see them grow.
Yeah. It's so cool that you can give back to your school in that way. You can give them a real life opportunity to get their hands dirty in the field and offer them.
Yeah, at the beginning, when I went to University of Arizona in Tucson, Arizona, and who would think in Tucson, Arizona, it's a retail mecca. But Terry Lundgren, who is now the chairman of Macy's, also went there and has built a retailing center within the school. So it's really become a driving force for a lot of retailers, not only Macy's, but also Home Depot and several retailers across the United States that have been able to hire students from there. And Nike is one of the sponsors, and there's several hundreds of companies, but Winston's one of the smaller ones, I would say. And I feel really proud to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's a great thing to have going on over there, and I was excited to be a part of it. Don't forget, guys, to check out Yellowbrick.co to take online courses taught by faculty at the world-renowned Parsons School, as well as leading fashion industry experts and brands. Carefully crafted assignments help students develop skills, and you guys can check that out all at Yellowbrick.co.
Parsons is a great school.
Yeah, it is. Jan, how important is it to evolve with technology in the retail space?
Now it's more important than ever. Because, clearly, how do you bring the virtual world and the retail world together will be very key for what happens in the post-COVID world. With a lot of people moving to understanding how to buy online, what's going to bring them back in the store? And, I'm asked a lot, like, what do you think retail is going to look like post-COVID? And, if June was any indication, people want the connectivity. They want that personal interaction. So I think it's really going to be important that the purchases can be made easy. And sometimes that is, if you're buying online, you're picking up in store or picking up curbside. But even if you're in store, how can you find those items as quickly and even possibly touchless? There's a lot of technology coming that I think is either out there and available now, or you'll be seeing more of it coming in the next, 6 months, 3 to 6 months even.
Yeah, right now is the time.
Yeah, and I think people, I think the devices, from your device being able to go hit at the least amount of clicks to get through something is vital for people to be successful. Owning a brand or owning a retail store. Yeah. Even a small specialty store. I have 2 friends that have specialty stores. One has 2 in LA and 1 here in Arizona, and they had not really built their online presence. And given what's happened now, it's forced them to kind of move forward in that world, and I'm very excited about that. And they've been selling off online and also through Instagram. The little dot.
Of course, yeah. Instagram, Facebook, that's where the
that's where to go. So making that as easy as possible. But again, you still have to tell your story online. It's not just like, here's a t-shirt, it's $45 and it's laid out on a white piece of paper. You really want to tell them why. Why are they buying it?
Yeah. Is it a difficult process to get an app made for your brand?
No, I think there's so many opportunities. Even through Square is one that's made it super simple right now, because that's also added the e-commerce piece to it, where you've got that available. But I think, we ourselves built proprietarily some technology for our field people to gather intelligence in the field. It's very expensive. And it is something that, unless you have a specific need like we did, for those that are looking to have their own retail store or their own brand, there are many programs that are out there that would be available depending on what you're doing, that are almost have templates, and they are making it as accessible as possible for that effort. And some are free, some are very little cost, like I said, and I think that will only get better and more sophisticated.
Mm-hmm. Your app is really, really cool. You have people who work for you that they don't necessarily have to be in the same place at the same time because it's all app based.
Correct.
I'm like blown away by that, how you have that set up. And it's like, I don't think a lot of people know about that experience. Can you break down the Winston app experience?
Yep. So we decided to build an app that we have, like I said, we have 2,300 people that are merchandising in the field. And what that means is also they could be actually training and educating about the brand to the salespeople. Like we do a lot of that for Under Armour. We've done a lot of shoe seminars at a Nordstrom, let's say, for different brands. We also visually merchandise product where we go in and look at planograms that either we created or that the brand has created that we then apply or build in the store with the product that's there, or we stock and fill shelves, or we're actually selling. So we do a lot of selling at pop-up shops and actually in store, like fourth quarter holiday. Some of those salespeople you're talking to may be Winston people. You never know. But each person that goes in the field is triggered by starting what we call a visit. And that is where they check in on their phone. They are answering questions while they're there. So we're gathering intelligence while we're in the field. We can gather video and there's all different things. And then it also presents training documents in case they need to look back at something that they need to refresher on. And from this, they're answering questions, and that's in real time. And we have the ability then, once they submit it, for a client to see what happened in that store at that time. And so our clients are super excited about this, although they don't always want to go into all of each individual report. Some do. But it also presents what we call a dashboard. And so it comes up in pie charts and, dot charts and different things by question. Right. That they choose on their side. So it makes it easy for them. They're seeing real-time information. They're seeing progress. We just launched the Samsung 20, and they, after we went out with it, they could see exactly what's going on, like during the day. When we're launching 1,800 locations in 3 days, they're watching this over the entire time we're doing this and as we're doing it. So it's pretty compelling. You can kind of see where you have opportunities to improve. And I think understanding what's going on the sales floor is really hard because so many, buying offices and corporate offices have centralized, and people aren't in the field from a corporate level as much anymore, and they can't really get out of the offices. So this provides them kind of the eyes and ears about what's going on. Yeah,
it's a really, really cool app and a great experience. I recommend it to everybody. I tell people about it all the time. Mm-hmm. What is one word of advice you would give to someone who wants to build an app for their brand?
I think you need to really think about what the end result needs to be before you start building the architecture to get, it's really defining it clearly what you're looking for it to do. I mean, that will always morph and grow because God knows we like to change it up and add more things. And, as you know from your own phone, you're updating it all the time, right? But for the initial development of it, it's being really clear on what you're trying to accomplish, and making sure that if you have other people involved in the process, that they're very clear on what that end result is, because otherwise it will slow the process up, and you want to make sure everything is aligned. And then also that you're working with a developer or a program that you've chosen that is easy, because when you go to when they add things on, or if you're going to customize something, it's going to be more difficult if the people or the program you're working with is not necessarily the easiest to work with.
So we want to make it as easy and smooth as possible, and we want to have a clear-cut vision on what we want out of it.
Right.
Okay. With so many companies, top-tier companies at that, using your services, how did you build these relationships, and how do you continue to maintain them?
So I think with anybody, there's certain people you click with right away. And, it's kind of, I do a lot of check-in, like, hey, checking in, how you doing? We may not have worked with people, but, as you know, particularly now, people are moving around. So, and I look at this as almost a rebirth, right? And, as people leave one job, they're going to be at another job. And, the goal is that you maintain that relationship. And, I've had people in my career that have been with me for, like, I hate to say it, sometimes 25 years. And, I think they've also helped me build my company over time. And I credit them and thank them for that. I think it's super important to always keep some type of personal connection with a professional connection. Right. I think, like even me showing you my dog, you've learned something new about me. And, although he needs a haircut, so you know even more about me. But, it's really having kind of a personal and remembering that. I remember early on, I was fortunate enough to be taken to some, like high-powered dinners, client dinners. And I'd always sit next to the most powerful person at the table because I can chat, right?
Yeah.
But I learned about their children. I learned about what they do on the weekends, right? And so when I'd see them again, I'd be like, oh, are you still fishing at so-and-so? Or, are you, what are you, baking? I mean, could be whatever. But it was always having a personal connection to that person. And I can't tell you how much that's helped me in my career. And, I think even when you meet people that, are your icons, because we all have them,
Yeah.
You aspire to meet them. You could almost, that from that conversation, whatever you're saying to them, if it's personalized, it's really impactful.
Yeah, it's gonna make them remember you more. You're gonna remember them more, and it just feels more genuine that way.
Yeah,
I can agree with that. Wow. Okay. I feel like when we share our failures, they can help someone who's interested in starting like a similar business. Yeah. And it can help them avoid making those same mistakes, since there's so many more lessons in failures than success, I feel like.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you, what failures did you have to bypass to get to where you are today?
Two are coming to mind. There's a lot more, but there's two. I would say, during those 9 jobs that I was telling you about before, like out of college, trying to figure out like what path I wanted to take and how was I going to get there. And I decided one time, like my friend drove up and she had this amazing brand new car. And I was like, I want that car. And I actually, she was working at the time for what was Pitney Bowes. They sold stamp machines, postage machines. And here I am in retail. I'm like passionate about retail, but all of a sudden I got kind of waylaid because I was like, well, wait, you can get that car, right? So I decided to try going out on a run for Pitney Bowes and seeing what it was like on a sales call. And I have to say, making that decision and going on that sales call, well, number one, I knew I definitely did not want to do that, right? But I derailed taking a job in order to try that. And it was a big mistake because I should have just stayed on what I was passionate about. Like, why did I let, the opportunity to make much more money, right, get in way of me thinking this is what I really want to be doing. That's because if you stick with it, it will come. That was, and I did take the leap, and I'm the one that did jump over, okay? But I realized that is not my passion, and thank God, who's using stamps? Not that many people right now. But not only that, but it it didn't feel right. Nothing felt right with what I was even doing in the first hour of that job. So that was early on. So I knew I was going to stay to my passion. Also, I realized what I really loved doing was building the environment, building the story, telling the story. And I, at an early age, was given the opportunity to get promoted into president of a brand. And I realized once I got into that president job, I didn't like it. I liked the job I was in before. So I really had to discover and determine what skills didn't I have that could guide me in the job I loved, but still make that where I could own it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I was in a brand working in retail development and then got promoted to president of another brand. And, everybody was like, oh my gosh, because, I was lucky to get that job and be in the company I was in, and so thankful for it. But I realized I didn't really want to be managing an apparel brand. And so that determined, again, kind of course corrected me into what I truly love to do.
Yeah. Biggest lesson is if you stick with the passion, it'll come.
Exactly. Keep clear, keep on your path. There are going to be things that are going to be given to you, things that you may see that you're going to veer towards, but staying in my path. And if I would have made those decisions the whole time, I think I probably would have started my own business earlier too.
Okay.
In my life.
Wow. Okay. No, I love it. And we just.
Well, everybody gets swayed, you see something somebody's doing and you're like, okay, that looks good. And maybe I could do that. And, at the heart of it, you know exactly what you want. Stay with it. If you're still discovering, no problem. Go try everything because it'll help you discover what you want to do.
Yeah. Stay focused.
Stay focused. Yeah.
Where do you think retail is going post-COVID? And do you think we will still buy apparel, accessories, and footwear in person?
Yeah, I do. I mean, like I said, I think people want the connection. I think what's interesting is watching what's happening. And if you're looking at, the designers, right? So they have fashion shows and now there are none, right? And a lot of them are having to do these virtual experiences because they are determined. There are some that are still going to show. And I think it starts there. I mean, I think you saw it at The Devil Wears Prada, if anybody watched that movie. But, it was a very good explanation, right, of how, what happens. And with designers, that personal connection and being able to tell their story and then bringing into that physical space is the romance that has somebody that gets excited about buying it. It's very hard to do that in a virtual world.
Right.
I can only think of 2 times in my life that I can remember a fashion show distinctly that was online, but it always made me wish I was there, wish I was physically there. And, now I think you're able to see, I mean, what I love is the collabs that are being done, whether that be at Zara or H&M right now are running some amazing collabs. And, but they were ready to go before COVID hit. But, that is still bringing that kind of designer romance to that selling floor and kind of changing it up and making the demand, creating that demand. So, I truly believe that people love getting romanced. I think they like having that experience in the store. And the second thing to it is customer service. We lost it. Right? I mean, how many times have we all gone to a store and the person's like, what do you want? And then, or there's no one actually talking to you and you're trying to find someone. So, I think kind of coming back to that first job or second job or third job, and if you're in retail, like, how do you really make an impact and kind of clue in really quickly to what somebody is looking for or helping them, bringing in that personal connection to them and keeping it going can start there. You're honing your skills there. And I think that's going to be crucial when we come out of this because people will want to go back in retail, but they're going to go to the places that they they feel comfortable being in. They get excited. The people are exciting. There's a smile. You know, somebody's greeting them and are helping them. And, you know, I mean, I think you go to the places you shop because you're passionate about the product, but you have to be passionate about the story and the person that's there, because it's you. It's where you are.
Yeah.
You know, it's your place to be.
It's funny because my last question for you was going to be how important will customer service be moving forward. But I just know that everyone who works for you, around you, it's almost like they share the same energy that you share. It's like they all know to smile and to, I don't know, be really happy and be excited about the product that you're speaking about, or whatever it is, whether it comes to Winston or the product, that they bring a certain energy to them when they're speaking with customers.
Well, I mean, I hope so. I mean, we're a service business. It's kind of like we're the Nordstrom, right? But at the end of the day, I love having people around me that can make me laugh, that I can make laugh, that, you know, it's a comfortable environment. It's welcoming to everybody. It's really, really important to me that people want to come to work. You can tell when somebody doesn't want to be there. And, you know, when you're working for a brand and you're going to a store and you know that person is just there clocking, it affects everything. It affects the psyche of that person. It's affecting the store environment. It's, you know, it's like that vibe. And I think every company, you know, from the biggest companies and the biggest brands, you know, they have a vibe. And, you know, do people relate to it? Is it authentic? And if it's not, well, what is the message about that brand that's making it compelling for somebody to buy it? You know, because there are brands, and we all see them that may not be authentic, and there might be some that are just essential brands, right? So, but all of them have a purpose, and I think all of them have, you know, there's, you know, for where, you know, you ask about post-COVID, I think there's so many companies that have had these great ideas, right? And people that are inside those companies have been creating these ideas, and they're on an agenda for what would have been maybe 2 or 3 years out. Well, now people are having the time to pause, think about exactly what are they spending their money on, maybe pulling those initiatives forward, okay? Because they have to try something new, okay? Who's going to get the customer in the store or online purchasing it? Because there's so many businesses now moving to the online world. And, you know, I think everything has to be in check. That personality at the company has to also relate to how somebody's going to experience the brand, and make people warm to it.
Right.
And, you know, want it.
Yeah, like you said, the vibe.
Roundabout way for me to answer that, but it's all connected. It's so connected, and I see it because, you know, out of the 140 brands, I can know the minute I get off the elevator, the vibe that's in the company. It's kind of a weird thing now because I've gotten seasoned to it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think you alluded to it plenty of times now, but the vibe has to be right. And, I mean, it never lies. Energy never lies. So,
yeah.
Man, your energy did not lie today. I appreciate your vibe. So thank you so much, Jan, for joining me. Thank you.
Well, you're amazing, and I'm very proud of you, and I thank you for inviting me and including me.
No, of course. I couldn't have done this without having you a part of this, because you're that dope to me, and I wanted to really highlight all it is that you do. Shanette says this was amazing. She's gonna connect with you on LinkedIn now. Look out for her invite.
Go, girl. Thank you.
Once again, Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
To Yellowbrick, and big shout out to everybody who joined us today. Joined us in the chat, asked a bunch of questions that really helped, and I hope you guys got what you wanted out of this. It's been all love on this side. So the last thing I wanted to leave y'all with was something I hear Jan speak about, and that's live your truth. So one thing I know about living your truth is support is always a good thing, but when you have the confidence to accept what's right for you, it releases you from the need to get approval from anybody else. So go pursue your passion. I'm COSeezy. We out of here.
Bye. Thanks, Chris. Bye.
Bye, Jay.